This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News at 9 p.m. First, the highlights. Fubara approves employment of 5,000 civil servants. Please assure security at Onitsha Market. Tinubu transmits 24 bills to Senate for legislative action. Federal government plans to resolve oil well disputes. U.S. deadly winter storm kills 17 persons. Super Falcons move to Abidjan for Waffle tournament. Federal government celebrates toying for hitting 1 billion naira in Nigerian cinemas. Rivers State Executive Council has approved the recruitment of 5,000 indigenes into the state civil service, and the lifted embargo is intended to enhance administrative efficiency and public service delivery. This decision was reached during the second council meeting of 2026, presided over by Governor Simeon Lai Fubara, with the Deputy Governor Professor Ngozi Mma-Odu in attendance on Tuesday at Government House, Port Harcourt. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Communications, Dr. Ono Sirawu, while addressing the media men after meeting, said the recruitment is strategically focused on the education sector, adding that 3,000 of the new employees will be assigned to basic and primary schools, while 2,000 will serve at the city. Said the suspects were arrested at different locations in Edo North and Edo Central Senatorial District between January 22 and 25 respectively. She said 4 suspects were arrested on Sunday, January 25, 2026, in a coordinated drone-assisted bush-combing operation carried out at the Era Idoha Forest Axis in Ekpoma, and the operation involved police tactical units, the drone department, Edo State Security Corps, hunters and vigilante groups, while other accomplices escaped into the forest with arms, while 2 locally fabricated Dane guns and 4 mobile phones were recovered from the arrested suspects. The command's image maker also said 5 suspects were arrested on January 24, 2026 by operatives attached to Airwood Division in collaboration with vigilantes and hunters, and also alleged that the suspects were engaged and dislodged from their hideout at Igun Forest, Agbede, leading to the rescue of their victims unhurt. She said the suspects kidnapped a couple at the Okodo community and gave the names of the suspects to include Nura Ibrahim, Suleiman Aruna, Usman Abubakar, Mohammed Abubakar, and Isa Ibrahim, and further said all the suspects will be arraigned in a court of competent jurisdiction after discrete investigations are concluded. Nigerian Correctional Service has dismissed as false and misleading reports alleging the jailbreak at the Benin Custodial Center in Edo State. A statement signed on Tuesday by the Service Public Relations Officer, Chief Superintendent of Correction J.I.N. Osuji, the Nigerian Correctional Service described the reports, which began circulating on January 24, as completely unfounded. According to the report circulated, 3 inmates, including 2 convicted fraudsters, allegedly escaped from the custodial center on Friday, January 16, 2006, and further identified the 3rd alleged escapee as one of the persons arrested in connection with the 2020 #EndSARS protest, who had not received the final conviction. The service expressed concern that the media organization involved did not seek verification from either the Edo State Command or the national headquarters of the Nigerian Correctional Service before publishing what it described as a grave allegation with serious public safety implications. While reaffirming its respect for the role of the media in nation building, the Nigerian Correctional Service warned that it would not hesitate to pursue appropriate legal remedies against individuals or media organizations that public false, unverified, or malicious reports capable of causing public panic, undermining national security, or damaging the image of the service. About 14 persons suspected of court-related activities have been arrested by the Edo State Police Command after hijacking a corpse and attempting to prevent the deceased from being buried. The command spokesperson Eno Ikoyedem said in a statement that the suspect also attacked two commercial motorcyclists, inflicting grievous injuries with various weapons, while police operatives swiftly intervened, restored order, and recovered 11 cutlasses, 1 dagger knife, and 1 shovel as exhibits. According to her, the injured victims were taken to Iruak Specialist Teaching Hospital for medical attention while investigations continue. The Commissioner of Police, Monday Agbonika, commended the dedication, professionalism, and synergy among operatives and community security partners, adding that the strategic deployment of technology such as drones has further strengthened the command's operational efficiency. He reassured residents of the command's unwavering commitment to sustaining aggressive patrols, bush clearance operations, intelligence-led policing, and swift responses to all security threats across the state, and further urged members of the public to remain vigilant and provide timely and credible information to security agencies to enhance collective safety. Abia State government has set up an industrial policy that will drive the state's industrial development. The state's Commissioner for Information, OK Kanu, who disclosed this on Tuesday while briefing newsmen on the outcome of this week's Executive Council chaired by the State Governor, Alex Oti. Kanu said the state government will put in place an industrial policy that will drive the industrial development of the state through its ease of doing business agency to enhance the ease of doing business environment in the state. He also said a new industrial policy together with a very conducive ease of doing business environment will help attract investors and development to the state, and such an industrial policy will help the state to market its potential while strengthening its comparative advantage in various areas of resource availability and management. The State Information Boss also said, in line with the ongoing urban renewal and the transformation initiative of the state government has initiated an addressing infrastructure program that is aimed at enhancing street naming, house numbering, and georeference addressing that will ensure order and economic growth of the state for easy identification of structures. Anambra State Gov chapter of the African Action Congress has condemned the closure of the Onitsha market by the state governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo. A statement by the State Publicity Secretary, AAC Chinedu Anthony, said the governor's decision was declared without adequate consideration for the welfare of traders and residents, adding that the decision is unacceptable and illogical to close businesses, thereby exposing vulnerable citizens to greater risks when the state should be prioritizing security. The AAC therefore urged the state government to reopen the Onitsha market immediately, prioritize security for all citizens, not just politicians, and engage stakeholders before taking drastic measures. This is coming after Soludo ordered the immediate shutdown of the Onitsha main market for 1 week, following defiance by traders and market leadership to open on Monday against government directive, stressing that 1 week shutdown order is more than an administrative penalty but to tackle perceived economic sabotage over the Monday sit at home. The governor gave the directive after traders refused to open the markets on Monday, adding that the development is the latest and perhaps most drastic in a protracted war over who controls time and economic life in Southeast on Mondays. Anambra State Police Command has assured strong security presence at the Onitsha main market to ensure law and order, following Governor Chukwuma Soludo's directive on the market's closure. This is coming after Soludo ordered the shutdown on Monday after an on-the-spot assessment showed that traders and market leaders failed to open for businesses despite repeated appeals by the state government to end the Monday sit at home and resume normal commercial activities. The state government said the continued sit at home costs Anambra about 8 billion naira every Monday, while the Southeast region loses an estimated 19.6 billion naira weekly, in addition to disruptions to work and economic life. Reacting to the situation, Soludo said the government would not tolerate actions that threatened public order and economic stability, and a heavy presence of security operatives was observed in and around the market, with armored personnel carriers and Hilux vans stationed at key points to restrict movement. Lagos State Task Force has apprehended 115 street beggars in different parts of the state as part of an intensified enforcement drive to rid public spaces of criminal elements and street urchins, commonly referred to as Omotaku. The development was confirmed by the Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokumbo Wahab, in a post on his official X handle, while 26 suspected members of the Omotaku group were arrested across several locations within the last 24 hours and were subsequently charged before a magistrate court sitting in Oshodi. The defendants admitted to the offences and were handed 3-month jail terms in line with applicable laws And the operation reinforces the state government's zero-tolerance approach to activities that compromise public safety, disrupt order, and misuse public infrastructure. He also said the enforcement exercise will be sustained statewide to ensure adherence to environmental and public order regulations while maintaining a clean, safe, and orderly Lagos. Body of a young man has been recovered from the Obalande Underbridge Canal on Lagos Island several days after he was reported missing. The deceased, whose identity has not been officially released, lived beneath the bridge for an extended The identity has not been officially released, lived beneath the bridge for an extended period and was known within the area for engaging in illicit drug activities and was suspected to have been under the influence of drugs prior to the incident. A search effort later led to the discovery of his remains in the canal, after which officials of the Lagos Environmental Sanitation Corps, also known as the Kick Against Indiscipline KAI, units were alerted. The body was subsequently evacuated and taken to the mortuary at Lagos General Hospital for further procedures. The Lagos State government has commenced free medical screening for 1,600 intending pilgrims ahead of the 2026 Hajj exercise as part of measures to safeguard their health and ensure compliance with guidelines issued by Saudi Arabian authorities and the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. The special advisor for the governor on Islamic matters, Dr. Jebe Abdullahi, who disclosed this at the Lausa Secretariat Ikeja while speaking on the state's preparations for the pilgrimage, said that the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu places premium importance on the welfare of pilgrims and that the medical screening was fully funded by the state was designed to ascertain the fitness of intending pilgrims for the physically demanding spiritual exercise. According to him, the exercise has become necessary as some pilgrims often travel with undisclosed medical conditions which may hinder the ability to complete the pilgrimage and run contrary to Saudi Arabian regulations, adding that the state is making early and adequate preparations for the 2026 Hajj, including the appointment of local government schedule officers to coordinate and oversee the welfare of pilgrims both in Nigeria and in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Abdullahi reaffirmed the state government's commitment to providing a conducive environment that will enable pilgrims to fulfill their spiritual obligations without avoidable health or logistical challenges. The National Industrial Court of Nigeria sitting in Abuja has granted an interlocutory injunction filed by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and the FCT administration, compelling workers under the Joint Union Action Committee to suspend their ongoing strike. The claimants had dragged the chairman of the Joint Union Action Committee, Rifkatu Lotia, and its secretary, Abdullahi Umar Saleh, were before the court, seeking an order restraining the defendants and their agents from embarking on any industrial action, picketing, or lockout. Delivering his ruling on Tuesday, Justice E.D. Sublime held that although the matter before the court amounted to a trade dispute and had met the required legal conditions, the defendants' rights to embark on industrial action was not absolute, and also ruled that workers were prohibited from participating in a strike once a dispute had been referred to the National Industrial Court, adding that where such a strike was already ongoing, it must cease pending the determination of the case. According to the union lawyer S.O.T. Onoja, the judge ruled that workers were prohibited from participating in a strike once a dispute had been referred to the National Industrial Court, adding that where a strike was already ongoing, it must cease pending the determination of the case. While the second union lawyer, Maxwell Oparal, said they will further advise the FCTA workers to resume their work in respect to the court order while they adjudicate on the case. The court adjourned the matter until March 23, 2026 for the hearing of the substantive suit. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has warned striking staff of the Federal Capital Territory administration to return to work or face legal action following a ruling by the National Industrial Court directing an end to the strike that has disrupted public services in Abuja for over a week. Wike made a statement on Tuesday shortly after the court's decision, while briefing journalists insisting that the rule of law must prevail, and also accused political cohorts of exploiting the industrial action for purposes unrelated to workers' welfare. Wike highlighted the administration's effort to support staff welfare, including salary payments and reforms within the civil service, adding that more than 12 billion naira has just been approved for the payment of January salaries to FCTA workers, describing the move as evidence of the government's commitments to its workforce. The minister also called for improved revenue performance under his leadership, adding that the FCT had generated over 30 billion naira in internally generated revenue, which is a significant increase compared with previous years, and urged workers to recognize reforms implemented by the administration, including the establishment of the Civil Service Commission and infrastructure investments across the territory. Troops of Sector 2 Joint Task Force Operation Wellstroke have uncovered an illegal arms factory in Doma local government area of Nasarawa State. The acting media information officer of the operation, Lieutenant Ahmad Zubairu, who disclosed this during routine patrols conducted by troops stationed at Forward Operating Base Idadu as part of efforts to combat criminal activities in the area. Preliminary investigations indicate that the location served as a manufacturing site, supplying firearms to criminal elements within and beyond the local area, and the suspect is currently in custody, and investigations have been intensified to track down all the accomplices who fled. The force commander of OPWS, Major General Moses Gara, commended the troops for their professionalism, vigilance, and sustained operational pressure, which culminated in the discovery of the illegal arms facility, and further urged the troops to maintain momentum and continue relying on intelligence-driven operations to dismantle criminal networks within this joint operations area. Gara also stressed the importance of public cooperation, while encouraging residents to provide timely and credible intelligence vital for lasting security and economic growth in the country. Niger State Governor Omar Bago has reached an agreement with the Islamic Development Bank to partner on the implementation of the Niger Solar Electrification Project. A statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Bologi Ibrahim, said the project, which is the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa, will cover 200 hectares of land and costs $163 million, aimed at providing an alternative source of power to many communities. Bago will receive the preparation mission team for the Niger Solar Electrification Project, codenamed NGA 1063, said the state government had invested heavily in the agricultural sector, adding that the solar electrification project would complement food production and industrialization. He also said the electrification project would address multi-sectoral challenges and would ensure the proper maintenance of all projects, adding that Niger remained well positioned to harness its renewable energy potential. He also said the level of success recorded in past projects was one of the major reasons the ISDB continued to return to the state for further partnerships. Katsina State Government and Cosmos Residential City Nigeria Limited have signed 155 billion naira memorandum of understanding to build 3,750 housing units in Kankia and Charanchi local government areas of the state. While signing the MOU at the Katsina Government House on Thursday evening, Governor Diko Omar Rada said 2,500 housing units will be built in the Kankia local government area, adding that 1,250 housing units will be developed in the Rada community of Charanchi local government area, totaling 3,750 under an innovative agro-residential model valued at about 155 billion naira. The governor said the project will be executed within a time frame of 16 months to 2 years, and it will combine modern housing units with backyard fish farming and vegetable gardens in every home, thus creating sustainable livelihoods for beneficiaries. Rada also said the state government has allocated land for the project in Kankia and Rada, and will also identify unemployed youth and low-income households, including those without formal education, but with practical farming and vocational skills as beneficiaries. The governor further said the project site has already been handed over to the company, while Cosmos has pledged to fully mobilize to site within 10 days for the immediate commencement of works. Hometown of the Adamawa State Governor Amadou Fintiri Madagali was attacked in the early hours of Tuesday by suspected terrorists kidnapping 6 family members. A statement issued on Tuesday morning by the State Police Command spokesman SP Suleiman Ngoroje said a combined rescue team of police and the military are in the area searching for the abducted family members. According to the statement, the Commissioner of Police Adamawa State Command, Dankombo Morris, has directed sustained search and rescue operations, reinforced patrols, and beefed up security presence across Madagali and other border communities to ensure the safe rescue and return of the victims and prevent further threats. Faintly on Tuesday began a tour of the 21 local governments in the state to assess the security situation and other issues confronting the people in their areas, while the Hong local government was also attacked recently, where 12 people lost their lives and houses were destroyed. The communal crisis between Bakaman and Chobo communities in Lambo, the local government area in Adamawa State early this year, claimed over 20 lives. Suspected gunmen have killed a well-known community businessman, Alhaji Habibu Mai Shago, during a night attack in Tiga Town, Bebeji local government area of Kano State. A post shared on X on Tuesday by security analyst Bakasine said the attackers invaded Tiga Town late at night and stormed the victim's shop, where he was shot dead, and they carted away valuables from the shop before fleeing the area. During the attack, they killed the well-known community businessman Alhaji Habibu Mai Shago in his shop and carted away valuables before fleeing the area. The Yobe State Police Command has arrested a 35-year-old man for allegedly defiling a 16-year-old girl in Babang Gida Town, Tamuwa local government area. A statement released by the Police Public Relations Officer SP Dongus Abdul Karim said operatives of the Tamuwa Divisional Police Headquarters arrested Aliyu Yarima of Potiskum local government area following a distress report, and the suspect will be charged in court upon their completion, the police added. SP Abdul Karim urged members of the public to report cases of sexual abuse and other criminal acts promptly to the nearest police station, stressing that and protect vulnerable persons. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum says he does not know who will succeed him when his tenure ends in May 2027. Speaking at a crucial All Progressives Congress stakeholders meeting held at the Government House's multipurpose hall in Maiduguri, the governor said his administration remains focused on strengthening security and delivering development to the people. Addressing party leaders, elected officials and members, Zulum stressed the need for a fair, transparent and just process in the election of party officials during the forthcoming congresses, adding that the integrity of the process is critical for the party's unity and future success. The governor called on for a fresh set of individuals to occupy party positions, while urging stakeholders to allow new faces to emerge through a democratic process, thereby strengthening APC's grassroots structure and inclusivity. He also dismissed speculation about his influence over the party's future ticket, and during the meeting, the Governor Zulum declared the creation of 2 committees to enhance APC's e-registration and reconciliation among party members. Zamfara State chapter of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has discovered the fake party membership card in circulation, describing the action as a mischievous attempt to spoil the party's name. The State APC Publicity Secretary, Malam Yusuf Idris, who disclosed this in a statement issued in Goso, said the party has come across a forged APC membership card doctored to contain an edited picture of the notorious bandits kingpin, Bello Toji, and making him look like a registered member of the party. He said the code, which started with 26, is for Niger and not Zamfara, as widely speculated. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Do stay tuned. President Bola Tinubu was formally received with full diplomatic and military honors, commenced with the simultaneous playing of the national anthems of both nations and a ceremonial 21-gun salute, while President Tinubu, accompanied by his host, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, proceeded to inspect the formal guard of honor comprised of Turkish military personnel. Following the completion of the ceremonial formalities, both leaders withdrew into a closed-door bilateral meeting where discussions on matters of strategic national importance are expected to take place, and it is Tinubu's first official visit to the European nation, a reciprocal engagement following Erdogan's visit to Nigeria in October 2021 under former President Muhammadu Buhari. The President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, had in a statement said the visit will focus on exploring further areas of cooperation in security, education, social development, innovation, and aviation, while both countries will engage in strategic, political, and diplomatic discussions on shared values in finance, communication, trade, and investment during the visit. Trade relations between Nigeria and Turkey reached $877.8 million in 2024, according to data from the International Trade Center, and the current visit, Onanuga said, is intended to substantially elevate the engagement, with particular focus on Turkish expertise in security and defense capabilities, areas identified as critical to Nigeria's current strategic priorities. Senate has received the transmission of 24 health sector bills from President Bola Tinubu for legislative consideration in line with Section 58, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The bills were conveyed in a letter addressed to the Senate and read during plenary by the State President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the proposed legislation followed a comprehensive review of existing health sector laws conducted by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice in collaboration with the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, and subsequently approved by the Federal Executive Council. According to the President, the bills aim to streamline governance structures across health institutions by reducing bloated board membership with a view to improving efficiency, effectiveness, and service delivery within the sector. The President also listed additional legislative proposals such as the Records Officers Registration and Digital Health Bill 2025 and the Federal College of Complementary and Alternative Medicine Bill 2025, and further expressed confidence that the Senate would give the bills careful and judicious consideration in the interest of strengthening Nigeria's health sector. After the bills were read at plenary, the Senate President referred all 24 bills to the Senate Committee on Rules and Business for further legislative action. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has charged members of the upper chamber to embrace urgency, discipline, and reform-minded lawmaking as the Senate resumed plenary on Tuesday, marking the first sitting of 2026 after the Christmas and New Year recess. In the welcome address at the chamber, Akpabio reminded senators that the 10th Senate was entering the decisive phase of its tenure with less than 1 year and 5 months left in the current legislative cycle. The former Akwa Ibom governor said the period ahead must be deliberately reform-driven, urging lawmakers to focus on legislation that delivers tangible national benefits, adding that the concluding phase of the Senate's work should also be defined by institutional order and completion of pending legislative tasks rather than the volume of bills passed. The Senate's president also urged senators to reflect on the long-term implications of their decisions and the kind of nation they would leave behind, and further reminded senators that their ultimate responsibility was to the Nigerian people. Akpabio concluded that by urging members to approach the remaining months of the 10th Senate with purpose and resolve, adding that the Senate resumed plenary amid a packed legislative agenda with the scrutiny of President Bola Tinubu's 58.47 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill and proposed far-reaching amendments to Nigeria's electoral laws topping the list. Earlier, the leader of the Senate, Senator Akpayami Bamidele, said both chambers of the National Assembly will immediately commence consideration of the budget and other priority bills, and assured that the National Assembly would fast-track the ongoing review of the 1999 Constitution, promising that the exercise would be concluded and transmitted to state legislators by the first quarter of 2026. Senators commended the growing military collaboration between Nigeria and the United States in the fight against terrorism, while also mourning Nigerians who have lost their lives to insecurity across the country. Senate President Godswill Akpabio made remarks in his welcome address at plenary, marking the first sitting of 2026 after the Christmas and New Year recess. Akpabio said lawmakers returned from recess conscious that national challenges, particularly insecurity, had persisted during their absence and required sustained legislative attention, and commended the continued cooperation between the Nigerian and U.S. militaries, describing it as a critical pillar of the country's counter-terrorism efforts. The Senate president also expressed sympathy with families affected by violent attacks, adding that the human cost of insecurity must remain at the center of policy and legislative actions, while Akpabio's commendation came barely 24 hours after the United States military announced an expansion of support to Nigeria, including increased material deliveries and intelligence sharing as part of a broader effort to combat Islamic State-linked militants in Africa. Speaking during the session, the Deputy Commander of the U.S. Africa Command, Lieutenant General John Brennan, said Washington was intensifying cooperation with Abuja amid aggressive posture against IS-linked groups on the continent, including junta-led Sahel countries, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali as part of regional counter-terrorism efforts. House of Representatives said legislative activities will focus on fine-tuning the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, as well as reviewing key constitutional provisions and scrutinizing the 2026 budget. The disclosure was made at the resumption of the plenary at the Green Chamber after the Christmas and New Year recess. The House, after receiving the notice of the transmigration of His Majesty King Dandison Douglas Jaja of Opobo Land, later paused legislative business to hold a valedictory section following the deaths of 3 senators, Senator Godia Akwashiki, Nasarawa North, 2019 to 2023, 2023 to 2025, Senator Okechukwu Ezia Enugu North, 2023 to 2025, and Senator John Kojo Brambaifa, Bayelsa West, 2003 to 2007. Presiding over the session, Deputy Speaker Honorable Benjamin Kalu informed members of the senators' deaths and explained that proceedings were adjourned in line with the House's standing rules. In his welcome remarks, Kalu highlighted the Electoral Act as a major legislative milestone for 2026, expressing optimism that the Senate would complete its part of the process, adding that the House would soon focus on specific provisions of the Constitution that have undergone amendment processes.
There are targets, there are milestones that we hope to achieve in this year. One of them is the Electoral Act. In the coming days, sure the Senate will do their part, having done our part. And if there are still any work left on the Electoral Act, we'll make sure we'll fine-tune it this week. Let me also mention that this year, another milestone, will be prioritizing certain provisions of the Constitution that we have subjected to amendments. And that will take place in the coming weeks. The budget is currently before us, and I'm sure that with your support from various committees of the House, that will do due diligence in making sure that
Prince,
the budget
go to your seat, Prince.
becomes a working instrument for the MDS and for the nation at large. Notification of the transmigration of His Majesty King Dandison Douglas Jaja, JK5, Treaty King, natural ruler and Amayanabo of Opobo Kingdom. His Majesty ascended the revered throne of the legendary King Jaja of Opobo, one of Africa's foremost nationalists, in 2004. From the onset of his reign, he distinguished himself as a monarch of exceptional stature, wisdom, and cultural depth, earning recognition both within Nigeria and beyond. For Senator Godia Akwashiki, Senator Okechukwu Ezea, Senator John Kojo Brambaifa, may we please rise for 1 minute silence. May the souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. We usually, in their honor, adjourn our sittings to the next day. So, based on this tradition, May I invite the Leader of the House to move for the adjournment of this section to tomorrow, same time, same place.
Reaffirming the commitment of the 10th House to its legislative agenda, Kalu said the Green Chamber would work to make the government's renewed hope agenda a practical reality, while lawmakers were also advised to resume full legislative activities on Wednesday. All Progressives Congress has dismissed reports suggesting that Vice President Kashim Shettima may be replaced as President Bola Tinubu's running mate ahead of the 2027 general elections, describing the speculation as baseless and misleading. A statement by the APC National Publicity Secretary Felix Morka said President Tinubu and Vice President Shettima remain united and focused on advancing the administration's renewed hope agenda, adding that the President and Vice President continue to work closely to implement reforms aimed at transforming the economy, promoting prosperity and improving the living standards of Nigerians. He cautioned media on confusion within the political space. The ruling party will also warn party leaders and government officials against fueling unnecessary speculation. Justice James Kolawole Omotosho of the Abuja Federal High Court has struck out an ex parte motion filed by leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB Nnamdi Kanu seeking his transfer from the Sokoto Correctional Facility. At Tuesday's proceedings, Kanu's counsel Damdu Asan, a senior legal officer of the Legal Aid Council, informed the court that he wishes to withdraw from the matter, citing some irreconcilable issues. He said since the last adjourned date, he had been on constant phone communication with the relatives of the applicant, while Kanu's relatives did not show up at his office to depose to the application, despite phone calls and promises to show up. Demdu said he consulted with his superiors and they shared the same consentiment, stating that as officers of the court, when the matter comes to them, they will handle the matter as they see fit, else the applicant can find legal help somewhere else, and he invoked Order 50, Rule 1 of the Federal High Court rules, seeking to withdraw from the matter. In his ruling, Justice Omotosho commended the counsel for upholding the dignity of the court. Justice Omotosho held that having listened to counsel from the Legal Aid Council, he would grant leave for the council and the agency generally to withdraw from representing the defendant convict, and thereafter ordered that the motion ex parte be struck out for lacking competence. Federal government has honored 12 teachers from across the country with national awards, reaffirming its commitment to strengthening the education sector through improved welfare, incentives, and professional development for teachers. The awards were presented on Tuesday at the Nigeria Teachers Summit 2026 held in Abuja, where the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, said the government would sustain reforms aimed at empowering teachers and restoring dignity to the profession. Alausa said the selection process was transparent and merit-based, with 3 teachers nominated from each of the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory at both the basic and senior secondary school levels. Also, the governor of Kebbi State, Nasser Idris, pledged to give each of the award winners an additional 5 million naira, while the minister described the awardees as exemplifying professionalism, integrity, innovation, and dedication to learners, noting that they represent the best of the teaching profession in the country. Speaking at the summit themed Empowering Teachers, Strengthening the System, a national agenda for education, transformation, and sustainability, the minister said the recognition of the teachers reflected in the federal government's broader education reform. And now to some business news. Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, an agency of the federal government, has urged oil-producing states to fully cooperate in the ongoing exercise to resolve disputes over oil and gas wells by plotting verified coordinates. Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Mohammed Shehu, made the call in Abuja at the flag-off of the plotting of coordinates of disputed and newly drilled oil and gas wells covering affected oil-producing states from January 26 to 30, 2026. Shehu said active participation by the states is critical to ensuring that the outcome of the exercise is accepted by all parties, and urged the representatives of the affected oil-producing states to actively participate while plotting the verified coordinates so that the outcome will be acceptable to all. Shehu also said the Commission had, in line with this mandate, inaugurated an interagency technical committee comprising the National Boundary Commission, FC, and also expressed appreciation to oil-producing states for their cooperation during the verification phase of the committee's assignment, and thanked stakeholders for their support of the process. Also speaking, the operational details of the exercise, describing it as the most comprehensive verification of oil well coordinates undertaken by the Commission. Como said the National Boundary Commission provided base maps, while the Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation was responsible for plotting the coordinates, with RMAFC coordinating the process alongside Surveyor Generals from oil-producing states. Federal government signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with the United Arab Emirates to remove tariffs on some products. A member of the governing board of the Northeast Development Commission, Rep. Sam Onriboin, in Abuja on Tuesday said the game changer in Abu Dhabi was SEPA, which Nigeria signed with UAE at the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, which took place from January 11 to 15. This is coming after a member of the House of Representatives of Nigeria who represented Ikwano and Umahia North and South Federal Constituency and served as chairman of the Committee on Climate Change in the House of Representatives of Nigeria during the 8th Assembly. Onibo said the agreement is massive and would facilitate an environment for business persons in Nigeria who have businesses that are verifiable and identifiable to go over there and open offices, also to work there for 3 months and come back. He commended President Bola Tinubu for the agreement, saying that the agreement was geared and targeted towards how to reposition Nigeria, create the enabling environment for the employment, and of course, make everybody happy, adding that Nigeria is a nation of nearly 250 million people and had over the years suffered the challenge of not having enough energy or power to be able to attain its economic and industrialization targets. Central Bank of Nigeria has upgraded the licenses of major fintech companies and microfinance banks, including OPay and MoneyPoint, to national status, allowing them to operate across the country following compliance with regulatory requirements. The upgrade applies to key players such as MoneyPoint, MFB, OPay, Kuda Bank, PalmPay, and Paga, which have grown rapidly through mobile technology and agent networks, effectively outgrowing their previous regional licensees. Director of the Other Financial Institutions Supervision Department, Yemi Solaja, confirmed this development in Lagos at the annual conference of the Committee of Heads of Banks Operations. The reform follows previous enforcement actions, including 2024 penalties of 1 billion naira each on MoneyPoint and OPay for KYC non-compliance, underscoring the CBN's ongoing efforts to strengthen standards in digital finance. National power grid crashed again on Tuesday, the second time in 4 days, and power generation dropped to just 39 megawatts at 11 a.m., down from 3,825 megawatts as of 10 a.m. A statement on Tuesday informed its customers of a system collapse that resulted in power loss, adding that the grid collapse on Tuesday has been cancelled or delayed, while schools and crossroads across the country have been closed. The storm dumped snow, sleet, and freezing rain across swaths of the country from Texas to New York, to New England, with temperatures set to fall dangerously low this week. New York City Mayor Zoran Mandani said 5 people were found dead outdoors over the weekend, while in Texas, authorities confirmed 3 deaths, including the 16-year-old killed in a sledding accident. Tokyo court has asked Pyongyang to pay its 8 million Japanese yen to 4 people who were lured to North Korea decades ago by a propaganda scheme. The plaintiff said the North was marketed to them as paradise on earth, but they instead found themselves subject to harsh conditions, including forced labor, but the latter escaped. Monday's ruling is largely symbolic, with no real way to enforce it. North Korea has for years ignored the lawsuit, and its leader Kim Jong-un has not responded to the Japanese court summons, but the ruling, which comes after a years long legal battle in Japanese courts, has been hailed by the plaintiff's lawyer as historic. More than 90,000 Zainichi Koreans, ethnic Koreans who live in Japan, moved to North Korea between 1959 and 1984 under a resettlement scheme which promised an idyllic life of free healthcare, education, and jobs. North Korea in 1960, when she was 17. She escaped in 2003 excuse me, and is now 83 years old. She was among a group of 5 plaintiffs who filed a lawsuit in 2018 demanding compensation, and 2 of the original plaintiffs have since died, but 1 of them continued to be represented in the lawsuit by their family. China have promised to provide Cuba with support and assistance in the face of repeated threats from the United States, which weeks ago removed Havana's ally in Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Beijing and Havana are long-time socialist allies, and Chinese authorities have consistently opposed the economic blockade by the United States. Tensions have intensified this month as U.S. President Donald Trump warned that Cuba is ready to fall, and Trump has told Havana to make a deal or pay a price similar to Venezuela, whose former leader Maduro was captured in a U.S. bombing raid on January 3 that killed dozens of people. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel supervised military exercises, describing them as a deterrent against potential aggression from the United States. And here now is ATN Sports News. Nigeria's Super Falcons will take part in the WAFO B4 Nation Tournament as part of the preparations for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Cote d'Ivoire will host the competition from Friday 27 February to Saturday 7 March 2026, while Ghana and Senegal are the two other countries that will be participating in the competition. The 4 countries will also compete at WAFCON 2026 and will also feature at WAFO tournament to prepare for the competition. Morocco will host the WAFCON 2026 finals from 17 March to 3 April 2026. Former Arsenal player Bakary Sagna is confident Real Madrid's Kylian Mbappe will win the Ballon d'Or this year. Sagna hailed the individual performance of his countryman, saying that the only thing that could prevent him from doing well is a bad performance at the FIFA World Cup. Sagna told Goal that he believes Mbappe will win the Ballon d'Or this year and doesn't think any other player is as good as the Frenchman has been this season, and he believes that the good form will keep going into the World Cup next summer. Mbappe has been playing very well this season, scoring 38 goals for his club and country. He has scored 11 goals in the UEFA Champions League this season, and just 1 goal away from surpassing Cristiano Ronaldo's record for the most goals in the group stage. And now, entertainment news. Nigeria government has celebrated actress Toyin Abraham after her newly released movie Obasabi Auntie grossed 1 billion naira in Nigerian cinemas. This is coming after the movie was released in December 19, 2025, with grossed 1 billion naira on Monday. And reacting to Toyin Abraham's achievement, the federal government, through the Nigeria Film Corporation, described the new record as another strong signal of progress for the nation's creative economy. The corporation, in a statement shared by its managing director Ali Nuhu, said the achievement places Ms. Abraham in the prestigious league of filmmakers whose works have not only connected culturally with audiences, but have also demonstrated strong commercial viability in an increasingly competitive cinema market. Judy Austin, a Nigerian actress popularly known for her controversial marriage to actor Yul Edochie, has warned her supporters to stop wishing death on people. She gave the warning in an Instagram video on Tuesday while reacting to death flyers in which her fans appear to be wishing death on some individuals whom they tagged as her opponent. While appreciating her fans for their years of support, the actress warned that wishing somebody dead in the name of supporting me will never represent who I am. It's plain evil. Nobody deserves that. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, and a look at the major stories. Fubara approves employment of 5,000 civil servants. Police assure security at Onitsha Market. Tinubu transmits 24 bills to Senate for legislative action. Federal government plans to resolve oil well dispute. U.S. deadly wind attack storm kills 17 persons. Super Falcons move to Abidjan for WAFO tournament, and federal government celebrates Toyin for hitting 1 billion naira in Nigerian cinemas. I am Favor Chikwesere Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, now X at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. And don't forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Do have a wonderful night rest.